Um, Greetings and welcome to this lesson. This is actually Look Back in Anger by John Osborne, and we already looked at quite a number of things in this book. So, in this lesson, we are going to be focusing on characterization. So, we're going to start with Jimmy Potter. Jimmy Potter is the central character in the play, and he is a 25-year-old man who lives in Britain's industrial Midland. He is educated, well read, and he works in a factory that is termed a sweet stall. He is trying to also buy that place. And issues about British society are some of the concerns that preoccupy his mind, which he feels has denied him the opportunity simply because he is a working class background. So he feels that he is having ambition and his ambitions cannot be met because he's just somebody of the working class level. He's like somebody of the middle class. So Jimmy is a self-conceited person. He is self-centered and individualistic. He prides himself on his honesty, but can be cruel at times, as seen in his verbal attacks on his wife Alison and his father, and on Cliff Lewis, who lives with him. Cliff is a very good friend, so he verbally uh, um, abuses these people. That's where we see the aspect of his cruelty. So Jimmy is also somebody we can call a misogynist. That is one who hates women. He hates women folk with passion and never takes them seriously. He sees them as people who cannot contribute anything meaningful to his life. He tends to transfer the anger in the past to them. He maltreats Alison, makes her feel as a subhuman to the point of resistance, and her father has to come for her rescue. So until Colonel Redfern comes to her rescue as to take her away from this Jimmy Potter husband who is maltreating her. So his only reason for maltreating Alison is the fact that she is too possessive and that she cannot understand him because she has never suffered. Because he suffered at the age of 10, that doesn't mean everybody has to suffer. So uh, for Jimmy, he had to watch his father die. So he considers that as one of the greatest suffering he has ever gone through. So he feels that somebody who has not gone through pain doesn't understand life. So, because he insists on total loyalty, Jimmy feels betrayed when his wife Alison does not accompany him to the death of a friend's mother. Yet, he does not see anything wrong with him having an affair with Helena, and Helena is his wife's friend. Jimmy is egocentric and egoistic, for he cares only about his own feelings and cares less about other people around him. He seems incapable of empathizing with his wife, even when she grieves over losing her baby. He takes her back only after he has realized her importance and completely obeys herself to him. Jimmy is the angry young man of the play, born of a working class, but highly educated like his friend and roommate Cliff. But Jimmy have uh, an ambivalent relationship with his educated status, and yet frustrated that his education can do nothing to affect his class status. He's so educated, more educated than some of the people in the higher class. But education alone cannot give you a status in society just like that. There is more to it than just being educated. So Jimmy is frustrated. He's a frustrated character who wallows in his feelings of alienation and uselessness in post war England. Jimmy is a bundle of contradictions. He is passionate about progressive politics, but he treats his wife like a slave, which might seem contrary to being progressive, right? So Jimmy is filled with rage, but the reason for this misery is not known to anyone because it's not been clearly mentioned in the play. But one can trace that to the kind of childhood that he had as he was growing up. Let's talk about Alison. Alison is a woman from an upper class background and Jimmy's wife and Colonel Redfern's doting daughter. She is attracted to Jimmy's energy, but also gets exhausted by their constant chattering and fighting. Jimmy accuses her of being too complacent, tired, and lacking enthusiasm, and her father, Colonel Redfern, agrees that she has a tendency towards too much neutrality. She's this kind of person who doesn't want trouble. So she prefers to have her peace than to have any trouble with anybody. So Alison feels struck between her upper class upbringing and the working class world of her husband. These are two different classes in a society. Somebody who comes from the upper class is like the ajebo of today in our own society, the rich people, the well-to-do, like they have and they almost have not. So Jimmy is of the middle working class. So after 3 years of a turbulent marriage, she becomes miserable, especially when she lost her child to Jimmy's constant torment. She is very taciturn. And the only way that she can survive Jimmy's constant verbal attack on her and on her family is to conceal her feelings and remain silent. A taciturn person is someone who keeps quiet even in the face of attack and insult and all of this because he or she wants peace. She openly confesses that Jimmy is the only man she has ever loved. Alison, who constantly yearns for peace, seeks the advice of her friend, Helena, and lives with her father, Colonel Redfern, without informing Jimmy that she is pregnant with their child. After losing the baby, Alison returns to Jimmy, begs for forgiveness for betraying him, and promises to be a type of wife he wants and needs after tasting suffering. Now, this suffering makes her commit more truly to emotion inherent in Jimmy's life. It is like we can say that Alison seems to understand what Jimmy was saying. You are like this because you have not suffered. So it doesn't matter. This is what she says. Quote, it doesn't matter. I was wrong. I was wrong. I don't want to be neutral. I don't want to be a saint. I want to be a lost cause. A lost cause. I want to be corrupt and futile. End of quote. Alison's final admittance of what she has not actually done here makes her a down to earth, humble, and sensible woman because she is saying all of this because she wants to live in peace with her man and she doesn't want anything that is going to disturb that peace. Now let's turn our eyes on this fellow called Cliff Lewis. Cliff is Jimmy's friend, all right? Also from the working class. He is a gentleman to the core, right? We can agree with that. A direct opposite of Jimmy Potter, his friend. You can see, while Jimmy is this type of person who talks a lot and he's not gentle, he's cruel, his friend Lewis is the complete opposite of Jimmy Potter. He does he does not have Jimmy's fire. He's not as energetic as Jimmy. He does not have his fire, wit, or bossy and bully attitude like him. He also lacks cruelty and verbal abuse on others. He is genuinely fond of Alison and shows his appreciation of her housekeeping effort. And he tries also to defend her from Jimmy's verbal and physical abuse. So Cliff personally bandages Alison's arm after she gets hurt, while the husband couldn't do that for her. Cliff is the most empathetic, and sensitive character in the play. He shows a lot of care and concern for Allison, even for his friend Jimmy, despite everything. Because he does not only share in others' problems, but also seems to understand what other people are feeling. He is like a go between Jimmy and Allison because he seems to sacrifice time to make things right for them. Even when Helena thinks that she hates Jimmy, Cliff guesses that he really desires him, and he is the only person who senses Allison's attempt to break up the marriage. Cliff's hatred for Helena makes him to move out of Jimmy's house when he learns about her attempt to move in. Because Cliff understands that Helena is not moving in for a good cause. She wants to take Allison's place, and Jimmy angrily moves out because of that. He doesn't want to be a part of that. Cliff is a relaxed and easygoing fellow with natural intelligence and self-taught. His affectionate relationship with Allison borders on a sexual one, but both of them are content with comfortable fondness rather than burning passion. They are not having any sexual relationship. So Cliff eventually decides to leave to pursue his own life rather than staying in Jimmy's apartment. Cliff announces his departure in the following few words. I quote, "I've just thought of trying something somewhere different. The sweet stall, all right, but I think I'd like to try something else. You're highly educated and it suits you, but I need something a bit better." So he says this because he wants to leave. He doesn't want them to feel like he's abandoning them, but he wants to give them a genuine reason why he is leaving. Cliff is good natured and he serves as Allison's confidant who is ever willing to, to offer his support to her. He admonishes Allison never to call her relationship with Jimmy a quit when she announces that she does not have anything to do with love. I quote, this is what Cliff says. "You are too young to start giving up too young and too lovely. I'm wondering how much longer I can go on watching you two tearing the inside out of each other." End of quote. Now let's talk about this other character, Helena Charles. Helena is a beautiful, elegant actress. No doubt she can easily seduce Jimmy. A friend of Allison and a member of her social cycle. That means she is also from the upper class background. She comes to spend a few days with the Potters while acting in a play, but finds herself attracted to Jimmy. She actually contributes to worsen Jimmy and Allison's marriage, and when she increases the pressure, she calls Allison's father, Colonel Redfern, to come and take her home. She's not calling her just because she's concerned, but because she wants to take Allison's place. Helena is a pessimist with a lot of, of shenanigans and cynical attitude. She encourages Allison to leave Jimmy, because she feels Jimmy is cruel. "You must get out of his mud house. The menagerie, he doesn't seem to know that love or anything else means." So this is Helena talking to to Allison. So she says, "Listen to me. You have got to fight him. Fight or get out. Otherwise, he will kill you." End of quote. Helena reprimands Allison. As soon as Helena persuades Allison to seek solace or to go to Olive Branch from somewhere else, she remains in Jimmy's house and becomes his mistress and his housekeeper. Allison's final return forces her out of Jimmy's apartment. This is because she has a strong code of middle class morals. Helena is bent on getting to know whether Cliff is in love with Allison. And that's why she comes and she tries to find out. She tries to find out. And she finds it difficult to explain the situation when asked if Jimmy approves of it. Because she feels she is suspecting that Cliff and Allison are having an affair, meanwhile she is the one having an affair with Allison's husband. Let's talk about Colonel Redfern. He is Allison's father, who is also a former colonel in the British Army stationed in the English colony of India back before 1947. That is when India was still a colony of England. So he represents Britain's great Edwardian past. He also represents that colonial era of Britain. He was a military leader in India for many years before returning with his family to England. He is quite particular and critical of Jimmy and Allison's marriage, but admits that he is to blame for many of their problems because of his undue meddling in their affairs. He is gentle and kind in his approach to issues, and this makes him command respect. But somebody like Jimmy doesn't see him in that light. He is very incisive and he believes every standard should be maintained. Remember, he's a military person. He feels discouraged about Jimmy resorting to below standard jobs such as sweet stall. It does not seem an extraordinary thing for an educated young man to be occupying himself with such a job. Why should he want to do that? Of all things, the colonel admits that both he and Allison's mother are to blame for everything. He also becomes mystified when Allison reveals that her marriage to Jimmy is built on revenge mission. As he believes of true love, Colonel wonders why youth of nowadays don't marry for love. You should be answering that question. Do you people marry for love? So they have a stall about challenges and revenge. So they have to talk about all these things. They have to talk about challenges and revenge. I just can't believe that love between men and women is really like that. You see, there's a dispute because for the colonel, he doesn't really understand why should somebody not be genuinely in love. So Colonel Redfern is a calm and easygoing soldier who does not use his juicy office to maltreat others. You think this man, if it were in our context of Nigeria, I don't think Jimmy will be playing with a colonel's daughter. He refuses to approach Allison's maltreatment with military fashion, but waits patiently to listen to both parties involved. He doesn't take the laws into his hand. Even though he is a military person, he doesn't bring in his military tactic to deal with Jimmy. Let's talk about Hu Tan, who is Jimmy's friend who took Allison and Jimmy into the apartment in the first months of their marriage. He also He's also Jimmy's partner when they went on a raid against Allison's super class friend at the fancy parties, and Jimmy saw him as a co-conspirator in the class struggle, who then leaves for China to write a novel, and Jimmy felt betrayed. This reveals Jimmy's deep traditional values and his sense of patriotism. He also gets angry at who for abandoning his mother, Mrs. Tanner. At last, Jimmy is not just that cruel person. He still has some sense of goodness in him. So as Jimmy's childhood friend, he helped him start his sweet stall through the help of his mother. Let's talk about Mrs. Tanner. She is who Tanner's mom, who helped Jimmy set up his sweet stall. So Jimmy loves her, and when he learns that she has had a stroke, Jimmy visits her in the hospital. Mrs. Tanner has been a good friend to both Jimmy and Allison. Now, other minor characters in this play include Allison's mother. Allison's mother is strongly against Jimmy and Allison's marriage, and she demonstrates it in many ways, all in a bid to protect her daughter, because she seems to understand the kind of person that Jimmy is. She feels her daughter can't go down to go and marry somebody of that class, but she feels that her daughter is not going to be comfortable. We have Miss Drury. She is both Allison and Jimmy's landlord. They are both constantly worried that she will evict them because of their frequent quarrel and rudeness in the house. Jimmy sees her as a thief because of his view of people that are rich. He feels every rich man must have stolen money from somewhere to be rich. He feels that he cheated people to get rich. Then we also have Nigel. He's Allison's brother, who is also a politician. Allison often complains about her inability to reach out to him during the first months of their marriage to show that she cares about him. Well, as a politician, he's supposed to be busy doing his politics. Then we have Madeline. Madeline, she is Jimmy's first love, who is 10 years older than him. Jimmy sees her as a lady that possesses the spirit of enthusiasm and excitement, which Allison does not have. No comments. Then we have Webster. He is Allison's only friend that Jimmy believes and thinks has any value. He plays a banjo and understands Jimmy's dialect. Jimmy also sees him as a gay. So she feels that this guy is gay. All right. I think we're going to hold it at this point, and we'll continue with the themes much later. I believe that you have learned something from this lesson. So if you have any question, you can send them forward so that we can